Now I will walk you through my Edgewonk journal, how to set it up for trading our strategy. Of course, if you are not an Edgewonk customer, you can still always track the data I track here in your own spreadsheet. That is entirely up to you, but let's take a look at my setup. Firstly, the instruments. There are a lot of instruments I trade, as you can see here in this list, 22 instruments at the moment. These are exactly as many charts as I can fit on my 27-inch screen. As you can see, all the majors, some minors, no exotics, and gold. So for the setups, this list is also in various places in the forum, where you can simply pause the video. Setups. Those are interesting. If you already finished the class before watching this video, then you can probably guess that DZD stands for drive, channel, drive. So we have a drive, channel, drive, breakout, DZD inside structure, DZD simple pullback, structure breakout, and structure breakout and retest. Let's take a look at examples for each of these. DZD breakout. The DZD breakout is my favorite setup because it trades tremendously well. It's basically a drive, channel, drive, but the thing about this one is that our entry setup coincides with the breakout of the channel. So for example, we have a bear flag here, and our setup for entering when price bounced off this pivot and the 142 round number at the same time was this candle here, and you can see this candle at the same time broke out of the structure. Fake breakout here, but we didn't get in because our stochastic indicator was in a bad position. You see, it pays to wait for the right conditions. Then DZD inside structure simply means that the trade triggered while we were still inside a structure before the breakout. We have that right here. As you can see, after our breakout from this bear flag, we had a drive up. Then we had this horizontal range here, this consolidation with a double top, another double top inside that range actually. And then we've made a fake breakout to the bottom and bounced from the pivot and this consolidation over here. And then we came back into this range. We could have gotten in here or here. And then as soon as price gets up to the top and around the pivot, we can move our stops. So you can see the trade triggered while we were inside this consolidation and we didn't break out yet. But the breakout happened shortly after. That's DZD inside structure. Then we have the DZD simple pullback, which is simply a pullback, as the name says, without any waves in it. For example, this one here. Yeah, there are no waves inside this pullback. We simply wait for the structure to break to the downside and get in. Then we have the structure breakout, which is a setup that is not preceded by a drive. For example, down here we have the head and shoulders, and the head and shoulders is one of my favorite structure breakouts because it serves so well for our purpose. We can get in at the right shoulder or at the break of the neckline. This is a structure breakout setup. As you can see, there is no drive preceding this whatsoever except for a down drive. And then we get the reversal structure and up we go. Last but not least, the structure and break retest. Simple. After we broke out of the structure, we retested it. So retest number 1 here of this high, retest number 2 here of the whole structure itself, of this double top, and we can get in here. Okay, entry, exit, and trade management. I don't have much here. For the exit comments, I use good, too early, too late. Same for the entry, good, too late, too early. And trade management, good according to rules, or broke rules, gambling. I always put gambling behind entries where I broke my rules because I want to remind myself that whenever I break my rules, I'm trading outside of the statistical set, which is my system, and then it's basically gambling. As for the alternative strategies, I also talk about these in another video. These are the ones I'm testing at the moment. These change periodically. If I find a strategy inferior to my actual strategy I'm using at the moment, I will kick it out and test something else. So set and forget, take profit at the next pivot. Set and forget at 3R, break even at 66%. Trail stop loss distance, so every pip price moves in my direction, I trail my stop loss 1 pip. And follow the M15 stock, so when the M15 stocks crosses in the other direction, we get out. Finally, the custom stats, very important. Firstly, I check the trend, up, down, not with the trend, yes, with the trend. Of course for us, with the trend always performs much better. Usually the only counter trend trades I take are head and shoulders, and whenever I take other counter trend trades, I don't do too well. I want to know which pivot performs the best when bouncing from it, and actually the daily pivot performs the best so far. Session, of course, which session is on at the moment. Here it's also very easy to see patterns that Frankfurt plus London plus New York perform the best for me. So I look for the majority of my trades during those hours. Do we have a local trendline break? Yes or no? So if we have a local trendline break, this often enhances the odds of our setup working out. We don't have the luxury of always having this, but if we do have a local trendline break, then most of the time it is a really nice setup. Okay, take this one for example. We broke this trend line. We broke above this high. We came back down to the trend line and to the pivot, and then we bounced once more and we broke through this, which is a local trend line. We broke through it and then we took off. Whenever we have a local trendline break, I am watching closely. Accompanying structures, these are all the structures I look for. I also talk about these in another video, but yeah, these are all the structures I look for. What else did price bounce from, except for the pivots? Usually if I have 2 here and a pivot, then it's an amazing trade. So if I have support plus trend line, plus a pivot for example, plus a local trendline break or any of our accompanying structures, then we have incredibly high probabilities of the trade working out. And yeah, if you want, you can only wait for support plus trendline, for example, or resistance and trendline and a pivot, and you will make great trades. Bounce from the round number, if this comes in as well, then quadruple A trade. But usually 3 factors are enough, as I said. Okay, 3 factors are what I'm looking for usually. News. Did the high impact news happen during the trade? Was there no high impact news? Or was there high impact news within 30 minutes of opening the trade? Which is against my rules actually, and I don't want to do this. So trades with this usually don't perform too well. If the news happens during the trade, so for example I'm in a trade for 2 hours already and it's running, and then the high impact news come around and I'm in a plus, I usually move my stop to break even or reduce my risk substantially, and these perform usually really well. I like this one the most. Last X trades a loser, question mark. So for 1 or 2 losers, no problem. 3 or 4 losers, I'm already losing a win rate. For 5 to 6 losers, I am in a really bad mental state usually, and I should stop trading for the week at least if I get 5 or 6 losers in a row, which is not uncommon. I mean, it happens with a 50 to 60% win rate. This does happen, and to avoid decreasing my win rate even further, I stop trading for a few days, and that works well for me. Okay, that's it so far. I will export my settings as well and upload them to the internal forum so you can download them and import them into your Edgewonk if you want to track the same stuff as me.